Yes.
Get ready to take control of your own financial destiny. It's time to build your dream business. Welcome to the Empowered Entrepreneur.
This just got exciting.
With your host, Spider Graham. Your education starts now.
Hello and welcome to the broadcast. This is Spider. Hey, today I want to talk about something that I think is incredibly important when we talk about how we accomplish anything in our lives and become successful. Now, a big part of, we talked about this in the past, is we all have certain levels of self-doubt. Some of us are a little bit more crippling to ourselves than others, but we don't always believe our own press. We're not always necessarily drinking our own Kool-Aid all the way to the bottom, and there are times that we are more aware of who we are and the flaws that we bring to the table than anybody else will ever be. And this is perhaps part of the human condition. And we don't necessarily walk around telling everybody we run into, by the way, I'm an imperfect human being. In a lot of ways, we don't want to go there, and we don't want to believe it ourselves. And so a lot of times there's what we will call an enhancement, whether we're enhancing our resumes to be just a little bit better than we really are, or whatever we're doing in our lives, we put on different faces. We put on things that allow us to look a little bit better than maybe how we often feel we are. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, because once again, I think it's a very human thing. I'm thinking that even beyond this, there's a really important part of success in any field beyond believing in yourself, and that is giving yourself the permission to be seen in the eyes of other people as a good person, or as a knowing person, or as an expert. Self-validation is incredibly important, because the bottom line is if we don't validate ourselves, it's often hard to get validation from other people. Now, what do I mean by self-validation? Well, it's a bit of a slippery slope in a lot of ways. But if I said to you, hey, what is it that you're really good at? What is it that you know that other people probably don't know? What is it that if I said to you, you have to teach a 5-minute class on a subject? What subject would you feel confident enough that you could cover that other people may not have the understanding of? And that's where we look to find our areas of expertise. Now, I've been a college professor for almost 2 decades. And the first time I took the college classroom, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing there. I had been asked by a university, I had served on an advisory committee for curriculum that was being created. And they said, hey, would you like to teach in the program? And I thought about it. I thought, I really would. I think it'd be great. I'm very excited about the curriculum that I've been part of creating. It'd be really great to be in the classroom and working with college students to help them to understand the stuff that, I already know. So what I brought with me was knowledge, but what I didn't have under my belt was the skill sets of standing in front of a classroom and being A, coherent, and B, really knowing how to teach people so that they could learn what they needed to learn. And yet I had to start somewhere. And when I got into my first class, I had to stand there, and I had to, in a lot of ways, pretend that I was a college professor. Even though, yes, technically I was, I didn't feel it. I didn't believe it. I certainly didn't feel comfortable wearing it. Only through a little bit of time and being in the college classroom did I get to the point where I could say, hey, you know what? I am a college professor. And for whatever that means, I can do that. And I've taught at several different colleges in my tenure. And I've gotten better and better and better at the teaching process, so I don't have those self-doubts. And if someone says to me, hey, what do you do? I say, well, among other things, I'm a college professor. It's one of the things that I do. So I had to work my way into it, but initially I had to give myself permission and the self-validation to say, yeah, you are a college professor, and this is how it's going to go. Now, the other side of this is that there are times, especially when you're starting a business or setting yourself out there to be an authority or an expert, where you really don't feel like an authority or an expert. You might be one chapter ahead of the people you're trying to teach stuff to, or in business, there are lots of questions, more questions about who you are and what you do than there are answers in your own mind. But you have to be able to put yourself in a position of being able to believe in yourself and to declare yourself an expert, because nobody else is going to. And this is an important consideration. If I jump up on a stage somewhere at a conference and I walk out and say, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to talk to you about blah, 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 then people in that audience are going to believe that I am a knowledgeable person about that subject. After all, I'm up on the stage. What more proof do you need? I'm qualified, obviously, because I'm standing here and I'm about to give a speech to you. Now, in my own mind, I could say, I'm filling in last minute. Somebody dropped out. Somebody said, can you cover this topic? I said, I'll read up on it. I don't know anything about this. And you're off and running. And so there you are standing in front of a room full of people, and you are scared usually, and you just don't know what it is that you're talking about as intimately as you'd like to. And God forbid if anyone asks you a question that's not in your script or your small basis of knowledge, because you're going to look like a deer caught in the headlights. And so you do what you can to fake it until you make it. And in a lot of ways, that's how we do it in business. Look, I don't think I have ever had a job in my entire life that I was 100% qualified to have. And I know this about myself because the challenges would not be there. I would frankly be very bored. So I took on jobs where maybe I was 60% competent or confident that I could do it, and then you fill in the other 40%. And there are times it seems like a trial by fire, and there's times when it seems really hard and really scary. And you do feel like a big liar and a big phony sometimes. But you keep working at it, and guess what? You become that person. You become what it is that you set out to become in the first place. You become real. I often think the validation is being very interesting because in a lot of aspects of our upbringing, especially in the United States, we've always had other people to really validate us along the way. Our parents were there to say, hey, you did a good job. That was good. I'm proud of you. That was fantastic. Or they could say, I'm really disappointed. Your report card does not show what you're capable of, or you could have done better playing that game, whatever it is. There are lots of things we do that our parents are there to tell us if it's good or bad. And sometimes that works for us, and sometimes it's a little bit hard. But the validation is oftentimes external. We go to school, the teachers will tell us how we're doing, okay? It's external. And oftentimes, even if you go into higher education, I always think about someone who has gone through several years of medical school and is now working interning at a hospital. And you look at that person, you say, okay, you got a lot of skill sets that are required to become a doctor. Are you a doctor? And if you say to them, are you a doctor? They would say, well, not yet. I haven't graduated from medical school. And until that piece of paper hits their hand, it's very hard for them to think of themselves as a doctor because they're not a doctor. Because a doctor means that you have this piece of paper that says that you have accomplished everything that you needed to accomplish to get your doctorate. But the reality is the knowledge base and the understanding of what to do with that information doesn't change much from the day before graduation to the day after graduation. Yet during that period of time, a doctor is born. And so once again, the validation comes from somebody else saying, in order to be a doctor, you have to have these skill sets and you have to have this piece of paper. Well, in the real world as an entrepreneur, no one's going to hand you a piece of paper. No one's going to say to you, hey, you're finally a successful business person. Congratulations. Here's your piece of paper. Instead, you're going to constantly have to look in the mirror and validate yourself. You're going to have to look at your path of progress, and you're going to have to understand if it's good or bad. You're going to have to say, am I doing the best I can? Can I do better? What can I change? What can I do differently? What does success look like? All these questions have to be answered. But along the way, you also have to be able to validate yourself and say, you're doing good. You're doing what you need to do. Okay? Self-validation is incredibly important. Now, once again, as we talked in a couple podcasts ago with regard to the idea of pride, validation doesn't mean arrogance. Validation is, yes, it's self-love, and there's nothing wrong with the confidence that comes with liking yourself and trusting yourself and believing in yourself. Give yourself permission day one. If you're gonna run a business, you have to believe in yourself and you have to trust yourself. If you can't muster that, you're going to have a hard time accomplishing what you're setting out to accomplish. So go out and do it. Make it happen and help yourself to become a better person by validating yourself when you need it. Understand that you're never going to be 100% for everything you want to be. And that's good because you would be bored. But challenge yourself, push yourself outside your comfort zones, and from time to time, remind yourself that you are an expert, that you are an authority, that you are a professional, that you are lovable, that you're a great person, and that you really are all that. And your life will change for the better. Anyway, that's all I have to share with you today. Once again, thanks so much for your time and attention. Believe in yourself, folks. I do. Come join us at spidergram.com. Let's join the conversation. I want to hear what's on your mind. I want to hear how you are striving to achieve your goals and reach business success. I want to help you get there if you're having challenges, and I want our paths to cross. So come join us at spidergram.com. We'd love to see you. This is Spider. Thanks so much and have a fantastic day.
For more free resources and advice for entrepreneurs, visit spidergram.com and become a subscriber today.